this is a good chat question. Dave Filoni being handed full creative control at Lucasfilm. Yeah, he was promoted to chief creative officer a year ago. So the thing is that we don't really know in the context of Lucasfilm what this means. We really don't know. We actually did get some Star Wars news this week, and we'll talk about that right now. So we don't know what happened to the Rey movie. Supposedly it's Here's the good news. Supposedly, Simon Kinberg, who was the executive producer of Deadpool and Wolverine, right? He is actually supposed to do the next Star Wars movies, the next trilogy, 10, 11, and 12. Here's my issue. And this is where I agree with one of my favorite movie YouTubers. I don't believe it's going to happen. I just don't. So let me correct the chat. Unless there's a piece of news that I have missed in the last day or so, and I'm sure I would have noticed it. No, Kathleen Kennedy is not out. So let's be clear about that. She is still the head of Lucasfilm. That is her job. She is the studio head for Lucasfilm under Disney. Dave Filoni is the chief creative officer. So his boss is Kathleen Kennedy, right? Kathleen Kennedy said, okay, you're the CCO now. Here's, again, Simon Kinberg being chalked up to do this film is great. He was heavily involved in Rebels. Again, according to one of my favorite movie YouTubers, he is a super, super Star Wars nerd. This guy is the ultimate Star Wars nerd. Yeah, and it's in Deadline. He's going to write and produce them. Quiet you. Again, most recently, he worked on Deadpool and Wolverines. He worked on Rebels. He worked on Force Awakens. He has a great resume. Okay. He has a phenomenal resume. Lucasfilm has announced and quietly shelved at least 8 Star Wars projects. Let's run through them. Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. Haven't heard anything about that in a long time. Kevin Feige Star Wars movie. Haven't heard about that in a long time. Dan and Dave's Star Wars movies. Haven't heard about that in a long time. Patty Jenkins was supposed to do the Rogue Squadron, and they did the big cool announcement with the full-size X-Wing, and I was super excited because I love Rogue Squadron. Nope. Okay. Let's see. What else has been canceled? Oh, Rian Johnson's supposed Star Wars trilogy. So, something is going on over there at Lucasfilm that prevents them from getting into the thing. Sources. I stick with, there's basically one movie YouTuber that I will watch that I consider to be well inside the industry that I will listen to. Everybody else, I take anything they say with a grain of salt. The other places that I listen to, until it's reported in one of the major trades, so that's Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, somebody who actually knows something, I basically don't believe any of them. Some of the chat's bringing up the Old Republic. Supposedly James Mangold, who did Logan, right? He's supposed to be working on a Swords and Sandals, an Origin of the Jedi, like biblical epic style film about where the Jedi came from. That's been in pre-production for a really, really, really long time. Not a really, really long time, but a long time. Long enough where we haven't heard anything, and so I'm now starting to doubt it's happening. The YouTube guy I'm referring to is John Campea. He used to work for AMC. He was at Collider. He was at AMC. He's worked for a bunch of very reputable places. He's in Los Angeles, and I have never seen him report anything that was incorrect. So basically, if he either takes his stuff from the trades, or on a couple of occasions I've seen him actually report, like when the news about Keanu Reeves being Shadow the Hedgehog, John was the first one to report that. So he's my favorite movie YouTuber. He's the only one where if he says it, I buy it. And I believe his sources. And again, he breaks news so infrequently that when he does, it immediately pops. Pre-Old Republic. Yeah, so that's what James Mangold's supposed to be working on. Donald Glover is still trying to get a Lando project off the ground, supposedly. But again, I haven't heard anything about that in a year and a half, 2 years. So, what do I want to say about this? Yes, that's how it's spelled. Campia. I want this to be true. Simon Kinberg, again, executive produced Logan. He executive produced Deadpool and Wolverine. He produced the first 2 Deadpool movies. He's got a great resume. And again, according to John, is a giant. Well, again, he worked on Rebels. So he's credited with co-creating Rebels. And so I would love to see him do a Star Wars trilogy. I wish that a Star Wars trilogy was forthcoming. I want more Star Wars. The fact that we have had no new Star Wars films in 5 years. 5 years. Now, I'm going to back myself up a little bit, and I'm going to say, as someone who grew up in Star Wars was my first fandom. Okay, it was. We went over a decade, well over a decade, between the release of Episode 6 and the release of Episode 1. Okay? If I recall correctly, it was 15 years. So, the idea of Star Wars fans having to wait a crap long time for, a series of films, not in the least bit surprising. So, but I am frustrated since Disney, since this whole thing. The fact that they haven't been able to release a new Star Wars film in 5 years is really a damning indictment of Lucasfilm and their ability to just produce a fucking movie, right? Somebody in the chat saying, I only want good new Star Wars. Here's the thing. And you can go back and watch previous episodes that I've done on this. I've done a lot of episodes on Star Wars. Most of what Disney has put out has been at least okay, if not good. Okay. Again, at least okay, if not good. Okay. Mandalorian, good. I still maintain that Rogue One is one of the best, it's in my top 3 as far as Star Wars films. It's in my top 3. It's probably Return of the Jedi, Empire, the original. That's probably 4. Again, most of their stuff lately, they haven't released much. That's the problem. Acolyte was, it was okay. It wasn't great. There was definitely some issues with it. The lightsaber fight was at Episode 4, the big giant Jedi versus fucking dude Star Wars fight. I loved that fight scene. I think it had absolutely gorgeous choreography, and the fact that it was overshadowed by a story that was very mid, really upsets me. Mandalorian was good. Rogue One was good. Episode 7 was good. Episode 8 was fine. Episode 9 was not good. It was okay. Especially on repeat viewing. I was like, but that's just it. Is that, Solo was okay. Again, they should have done a Lando movie, and Donald Glover was great as Lando in that film. Alden Ehrenreich was never going to stand up to Harrison Ford. I'm sorry. Yeah. Somebody in the YouTube chat saying the fighting was great. The story was and again, it was a very mid story. I didn't love it. Obi-Wan was okay. Again, there were some things in Obi-Wan that I was like, why are we doing this? But there was also some complete greatness in Obi-Wan. That last fight scene between Vader and Obi-Wan was top fucking tier. It was great from both an acting standpoint and a thing. Ahsoka was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. Again, I think there was a lot of missed opportunities there, and I don't feel like it was Ahsoka. I feel like it was a Rebels season 5. Again, somebody in the chat saying 7, 8, and 9 were complete dumpster fires. I disagree. I think 7 was fine. It was good, right? It was Star Wars. It was Star Wars. Again, did I agree with all the writing choices? No. Did I agree with everything they did? No. Did I enjoy it when I watched it? Yes. I walked out of 7 and I was reasonably pleased with the film. 8, I was reasonably pleased with the film. 8, I can mostly fix in 2 scenes that, again, I would have rewritten. But again, I didn't think it was terrible. I was just like, okay, it was a Star Wars movie. Great. 9, it was very obvious that they were just all over the map with that movie. Again, there were some great moments to it. There's some great moments. Ahsoka gets better at the end. Somebody said they didn't finish Ahsoka. It gets better at the end. It was too short. Again, it was Rebels season 5 or whatever the next season of Rebels would have been. I'm glad we got Ezra back. I'm glad that a lot of things, and seeing live action Chopper made my fucking day. I love Chopper. Somebody in the chat was mentioning Chopper earlier. I absolutely love Chopper. Andor was great. I need to go back and rewatch it so I can get ready for Andor season 2, which is coming soon. And we get the return of K2SO in Andor season 2. Yes, we get to see how Andor got K2. Okay. I really want to know how he got K2SO. That is how did he get the big Imperial droid? I want to know. Alan Tudyk will be reprising his role for that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. I hope Simon Kinberg's. I really honestly do hope his trilogy gets done. I really want it. I want more Star Wars movies, and Star Wars belongs on the big screen. I actually took Jordan earlier this year. Yeah, I took Jordan to see episode 1. They were doing, they do re-releases at the theaters. They've been doing that this year, bring back some old movies. Episode 1 was in theaters. I took Jordan to see episode 1 in the movie theater, and I will tell you something, it hits different in the theater. It really does. You can watch episode 1 on TV, on your thing at home. It hits different in the theater. When you were sitting in a movie theater and though in episode 1 and the freaking bay doors open up and you see Darth Maul walk out and be like, psh, and then the other side comes out of his lightsaber and you're like, yes, like that. It just hits different. The whole thing works differently. So many of the things we have to AI. Apparently they have the licensing, and I didn't know this. Somebody had to point this out to me on social media. They do have the license to, James Earl Jones worked out a deal with Disney to use his voice after he died. So they can use him to do Vader, in perpetuity. So I didn't know that. I was kind of icked at it. But again, if the actor agrees to it, that's my big thing. It's up to the actor. Yeah, I absolutely, again, Star Wars was my first fandom. I want this trilogy to go somewhere. I want it to do something. I want to see 10, 11, 12. And do me a favor, let's get a 30-year time jump. Let's get away from the damn Empire. Let's get a new bad guy. Let's do something new. Okay, let's do something new. And I think that Simon Kinberg absolutely can do that. Right? Like, I really do think he's got the ability to get in there and really create something great. So take that for what it's worth. Let me know in the comments what you think. Again, new Star Wars trilogy supposedly on the way. Do we believe they'll actually get it done this time?